Imagine you were floating in space, next to Earth. Someone hands you a lever. Not a normal lever. This thing is ridiculous. It stretches so far that the end disappears into the dark. There is a tiny support point under it. On the other side sits the entire planet. And you remember the famous line, usually attributed to Archimedes, "Give me a place to stand and I will move the Earth." So you push. At first, the idea feels perfect. You are small, Earth is huge, the lever is long. The story says a long enough lever can turn a small force into a giant one. Then the lever barely moves. You push harder. Your end of the lever starts traveling through a huge arc. The planet side moves by almost nothing. Your side keeps going. The arc gets longer, your body drifts, and the support point starts looking less like a magic dot and more like the most impossible object in the universe. The lever is not failing. It is charging you. That is the part the famous lever story tends to hide. The story of Archimedes and the lever survived because it sounds bigger than physics. One person, one tool, one fixed point. Suddenly, the whole Earth becomes movable. People love that shape of story. A small thing beats a big thing. A clever tool beats raw size. A human mind finds the secret handle on the universe. That is why the line escaped science class. It became a slogan for ambition. Entrepreneurs use it, productivity people use it, investors use it, creators use it. Everyone wants a lever. Give me the right tool, give me the right audience, give me the right system. Then I can move something much bigger than myself. I get why that feels good. I like the line too. That is why it bothers me. Because the quote makes leverage sound like free power. But leverage is not free power. Leverage is a trade. In school, the lever often arrives as a clean formula. Force times arm length on one side equals force times arm length on the other side. Small force, long arm, big force, short arm. The numbers work. If you only look at that equation, a longer lever seems to make power appear from nowhere. Add more length, get more force, add enough length, move anything. That picture leaves out the part your body would feel. The two sides of the lever rotate through the same angle. The short side moves through a small arc. The long side moves through a much larger arc. So when you push on the long side, you are not getting free force. You are paying with distance. Small force times long distance. Large force times short distance. In the ideal version, those have to balance. The long lever does not remove the work. It spreads your work across a longer path. That is the first layer of the misunderstanding. The formula is correct. The mental picture can still be wrong. You imagine the long arm giving you strength. The long arm gives you a longer walk. So go back to space. You are still at the far end of the lever. Earth sits on the other side. You push with a force your body can manage. If the lever gives you a huge force advantage, your side must move a huge distance compared with the Earth side. To move Earth 1 inch, you might need to travel miles. Or far more, depending on the lever. To move at a useful amount, your path becomes absurd. The quote makes the problem sound like a strength problem. You picture a small person who needs a longer bar. But the real problem is payment. You can pay with force, you can pay with distance. You can pay with time, you can pay with energy. The lever lets you choose the shape of the payment. It does not cancel the payment. And that is only the first problem. The second problem is hidden inside the first half of the quote. Give me a place to stand. That little phrase is doing a ridiculous amount of work. You need a support point that does not move. You need a lever that does not bend. You need a system that does not waste energy as heat, vibration, flex, friction, or broken parts. You need enough time to push through the giant arc. You need enough energy to do the job. Without those conditions, you are not standing outside the system and moving Earth. You are inside the system, pushing on one part while the other parts push back. In space, if you push the lever pushes you. Earth pulls on you. The support point has to be attached to something, and that something has to deal with the reaction too. The fantasy needs a fixed point outside the problem. Real life keeps asking where that point is. This is why the lever myth survived for so long. It tells a story people want to believe. It says intelligence can beat scale, And to be fair, that part is often true. Tools help small people do things their bodies cannot do alone. A crowbar works, a jack works, a pulley works, a wheelbarrow works. These are not fake miracles. They are useful because the trade helps you. The danger starts when you skip the trade. Once you skip the trade, every lever starts to look like magic. Financial leverage sounds like more buying power, until the loss moves faster too. Content leverage sounds like one video working while you sleep, until you count the drafts, failed hooks, edits, and years of learning behind it. AI leverage sounds like doing 10 times more work, until you count the judgment, checking, taste, and cleanup that move on to you. Audience leverage sounds like one message reaching thousands of people, until you notice the pressure to keep feeding the machine. These examples are not the same as a physical lever. They do not follow the same equation, but they repeat the same mistake. People love the multiplication side. They forget to ask where the cost moved. The lever formula most people remember is about balance. Force times arm length equals force times arm length. The formula people forget is about work. Force times distance. That second formula ruins the fantasy in a useful way. A longer lever can reduce the force you need at one moment. It cannot make the total job vanish. You can turn a crushing push into a long walk. You can turn a short burst of power into a long series of small pushes. You can make a task possible for a weaker body, but the cost goes somewhere. That is not a failure of leverage. That is the whole point. Good leverage makes the payment possible. Bad leverage hides the payment until you are already committed. So the next time someone offers you a lever, ask a boring question. Where is the distance? If a tool saves force, it may ask for time. If it saves time, it may ask for risk. If it saves effort, it may ask for judgment. If it gives reach, it may ask for maintenance. The offer may still be worth taking. A lever can be a brilliant tool. You use one because the trade helps you. You get into trouble when someone sells the multiplication and hides the other side of the equation. Now look at the astronaut again. Small person, giant planet, long lever. The image still feels inspiring. It no longer feels free. If the astronaut wants to move Earth, they need more than a longer bar. They need a place to stand. They need a lever that will not bend. They need a path long enough to push through. And they need enough energy to pay for the movement. The old line still works as a dream. As a rule, it needs a receipt. When something promises leverage, do not ask only what it multiplies. Ask what it makes you pay somewhere else. Catch you in the next one.